Welcome to the Irresistible Woman podcast, your place to learn how to attract the right man this year with confidence and ease. I'm your host, Madeline Charles, and this is now week 2 of our Powerful and Pursued podcast series. So, this podcast series between last week, this week, and next week are all coinciding with themes that we are going to be exploring inside the Powerful and Pursued free 7-day attraction blueprint audit. So, if what we are talking about on the podcast right now is stirring something up for you, if you really hear this episode land, if what we talked about last week really hit home, I want you to jump into Powerful and Pursued right now. It is completely free. And again, this is going to be a 7-day journey where I walk you through an audit of your attraction blueprint. This is all around being the woman who is tired of being the most impressive one in the room, yet going home alone. So, we are going to be exploring what it means to have true feminine power, not just professionally, but also innately, and helping you move from being the woman who is consistently overlooked, like maybe you are constantly put in the friend zone, like guys are happy to chat you up, but they never actually ask you out. This is also for the woman who is kind of deep down wondering if maybe she's missed her window. And although you deeply desire love, you're not sure how to make it happen at this time in your life. And it's also for the type of woman who is done apologizing for her ambition. So, we're going to be talking about that a little bit here today. And you are wanting to expand your capacity to not just have a beautiful, fulfilling life on your own, but you are ready and excited to welcome the right man into your life to be able to co create something far beyond anything you could do by yourself. So if any of those themes are hitting home for you, again, sign up right now in the show notes. Powerful and Pursued. We are kicking off very soon. And I would love for you to be there because it's going to be brand new training material. I've been working on it behind the scenes. I'm very excited for what we are cooking up, and you don't want to miss it. It's going to be a really beautiful, intimate way to connect more deeply than the podcast, to be in community, to have some short, simple daily action assignments to get you into momentum. And ultimately, you'll be able to be in the running for some epic prizes, including cash credits towards the Irresistible Woman Experience, my year-long high-touch mastermind. And really, it's the topics I've been talking about with my clients in there that have inspired today's episode. So let's get into it. Now, I recently gave a training in that space around high functioning freeze and how high achieving women often are operating from that nervous system state without realizing it. So I want to unpack that here today because I know when I first understood this for myself, it was very revealing and almost validating and kind of put language towards some of the things that I was experiencing. And I very much see this with the type of woman that I attract as well in my spaces. So I think that you're going to get a lot out of this episode. We're really talking about why being powerful is not the same as feeling safe. So, I want to start by being so clear that although we're going to be talking about how ambition and professional fulfillment and like chasing your dreams and, all of that sometimes has a shadow side. I want to be super, super clear that we are not villainizing ambition. In fact, I think too many women are made to feel bad or wrong for being highly ambitious, for being high achieving. Like I'm one of those women, like I have big dreams, I have big aspirations. That's just how I'm wired. Nothing is going to take that away from me. But there was a time in my love life where I felt like I maybe needed to shrink. I needed to downplay how driven I am. I needed to set aside talking about work because that's not sexy, right? We get a lot of messages like that. And if you're like me and you are a woman up to big things, that type of messaging can be really damaging. And it can ultimately make us feel like who we are innately is not lovable. And we need to contort ourselves in order to be seen as more feminine and palatable ultimately. And I take a strong stand against that. So we love ambition, we love hard work, we love chasing our dreams, we love fulfilling our desires. And today's conversation is a nuanced approach at looking at the drive behind all of that. What is the power source you are operating from, and to be really intentional about where that's coming from? Because functional freeze is a really sneaky thing that can pop up and derail us in our pursuit for professional and romantic success. So, I wanted to shine a light on that today and help you see how you can have true safety from innate feminine power rather than kind of a band aid approach to feeling safe through a false sense of power, a sense of conditional power. Okay, so I want to give you some specifics here to like really ground this in. A lot of women, maybe consider themselves ambitious, like I just described, but underneath that achievement is really this sense of survival. And you might think, well, I'm not in survival. Like, I am financially comfortable. I have great self care. I take good care of myself. Like, not in survival. However, there is a socially rewarded way that loops women into feeling like it's never enough and they have to be continually striving for more. So let's make this really practical. Have you ever looked at your life and thought, I have everything I've worked so hard for, and yet why do I still feel like I'm carrying the weight of the world? Maybe you're that type of woman that everyone says, you're so strong. You've always got it together. You can handle anything. Like, I'm not worried about you. You're so good. And so you've started to internalize those messages of being the strong, capable one, of being the one that other people are always depending on. And maybe that has caused you to feel like you don't have a way to drop that guard. You don't have a way to soften and receive. If you're the strong, capable one, then who do you get to rely on? So let's define functional freeze. I think a lot of people consider nervous system dysregulation as having a full blown panic attack or like a whole emotional meltdown. And that's not necessarily it. Functional freeze, like I said, is very sneaky because it can look on the surface like you are super productive. It looks like the type of woman who is highly responsive, highly perceptive, always prepared, always planning, always thinking ahead, always doing, never actually resting. Like your body really has a hard time fully downshifting and just being. Your body is constantly tracking, planning, predicting. All of that is running in the background, like kind of just a low grade hum all the time. And you get rewarded for that. You are praised for those traits. Life works really well because of those traits. You've achieved a lot because of those traits, right? Like those traits have carried you far. And we're not saying that those traits are inherently bad, but what happens when you want to explore a different side of yourself? That's where the stickiness can come up, and high achievement can ultimately become a survival strategy. Now, again, achievement inherently is not the problem, but I want you to get curious about the goals and ambitions and aspirations in your life right now and to ask yourself, why do you keep achieving? What were to happen if you slowed down or stopped altogether? Is there a feeling of trying to outrun anything? And who are you without productivity? These are challenging questions that I know I've had to sit with and grapple with, if I'm being honest. Um, and it's really eye-opening when we start to look at, okay, what am I always striving for? What's that next mountain that I'm always trying to climb? What's that next goal that I'm trying to achieve? Because achievement can become an identity where it's so much more about what you're doing than who you're being. Achievement creates a sense of certainty and control. If we have a goal that we're moving towards, if we have a dream that we're trying to pursue, and there's very specific goal marks along the way and kind of checkpoints of progress, that helps us feel like, oh, I know how to do that. I know how to achieve and produce an output. And it puts us so much more into that masculine drive. And again, nothing wrong with that. But then when it comes time to soften into our feminine receptivity, our ability to just be in our body, our ability to rest, that can actually feel so threatening. Because if we have associated our worthiness, our value, our status, our place in the world with our output, if we take that away, then we quite literally might feel like some part of us is dying. And I know that that sounds dramatic, but our nervous system doesn't know the difference if we have wired ourselves to believe that safety comes from production. So, a lot of women can regulate themselves emotionally through accomplishment. This is where you might find yourself playing out these patterns in dating. So, we're talking a lot about, pursuing in terms of professional success, or maybe you've got like a side hobby that you are really passionate about. But how does this show up in dating? I want to help you connect the dots. So when a woman is chronically saying, I don't have the time to date, or I'll date when summer is less busy, or when I get back from that trip, or when I lose 10 pounds, or whatever it is, or, I'll just get back on the apps next month, or I just haven't met anyone. I don't know, like just no one's come along, or oh, I've just been busy focusing on work. All of that may be true, but the caveat we want to look at is, are you staying busy from a place of avoiding feeling vulnerable? Because when your schedule is completely packed, when you are overly intellectualizing your love life, you're trying to say the right thing, show up in a certain way, be perceived like exactly how you want, everything can feel very manufactured and scripted. And it totally sucks the chemistry out of any dating dynamic. Like, if you chronically feel like you're not meeting anyone you are excited about, if you're not feeling the spark with anyone, a lot of times it's because our body has been so desensitized to feeling because we've been operating from so up in our head that we don't even know how to register sexual chemistry anymore. Like, we are so turned off in our own bodies that our dream guy could be standing right next to us and we're like, I don't know, I don't feel anything. So this is where we want to just be really mindful, because functional freeze will tell us I'm too busy. I can't handle another thing on my plate. And dating just feels like a liability. It feels like just one more thing that's going to be wound up in disappointment and frustration. So why even touch it? Or it's going to have you saying, I just need to heal more. I need to be more confident. I need to be more certain. I need to have my game plan all figured out. And so you're kind of frozen in that perpetual healing state. It's going to have you feeling like you have to endlessly optimize yourself, like you're a freaking project to be managed. And all of that can feel really productive on the surface, especially when you are such a self aware, intentional woman who does enjoy developing herself. Like, obviously, we're here for the personal development, right? But there is a shadow side where you have to be honest with yourself to say, when is enough enough? When have you learned and processed and worked on yourself enough to then get into the arena and see firsthand what's actually happening for you? So these are just, again, really sneaky things that we want to be aware of how they might be showing up for you, because ultimately there is a very high cost to always holding it together. I think the modern woman is so perpetually exhausted because there are so many expectations placed on us from other people, but also our own self-imposed expectations, where we might feel like, okay, I know how to be the planner. I know how to be the initiator. I know how to caretake. I know how to fix. I know how to, help other people feel good. Like, I'm the friend that everyone comes to. I'm the coworker everyone comes to. Like, I'm the problem solver, right? And so this can trail over into dating, where you might really feel like you deeply crave being the one who gets to be held. You want to be the one who can let your guard down. You want to be the one who can feel unburdened and to say, "Oh my gosh, I finally have this great man in my life who wants to hear how my day was for once." They want to know how they can support me. Gosh, what a breath of fresh air. I've been waiting for this. But if you're the one who derives your value, your identity and sense of self, your sense of safety from being the one who always holds it together, letting someone else assume that role and putting you in that more vulnerable state of being supported rather than the supporter, whew, that can be kind of challenging. And all of these patterns are so subtle. Like, intellectually, you might be hearing this and be like, no, I'm so ready to be supported. Like, hello, that sounds amazing. But let's be honest about not just what sounds good, but what are your actions demonstrating in your love life right now? Because our actions will always show us what we believe to be true. It doesn't matter what we think. Our actions are going to demonstrate our deepest truth because our actions are running on autopilot. So it's really illuminating. I keep using this word because I think it's just so accurate. When you understand that being needed is not the same thing as being cherished. We can be needed by a lot of different people and feel a sense of power from that, a sense of connection from that. But being cherished romantically is very, very different. There is a level of vulnerability in that. There is a level of unmasking and letting yourself be deeply seen. Like you're not going to be cherished because you're superwoman and you always keep all the plates spinning in the air. Being cherished comes from resting in the innate worthiness of who you are, not what you do. And gosh, that is such an edge for some of us. So if you have spent decades proving that you can handle it, your nervous system needs to understand that it is safe to receive help, lean on someone, need someone, trust someone, rest, because your body has been in this place of self-reliance for so long. And whether or not you consider yourself that kind of superwoman persona that so many modern women fall into, the fact of the matter is, if you are used to operating your life as a single woman, there is an element of self-reliance that you've been developing for yourself just inherently, right? Just that is a survival thing. No one else is going to pay the bills. No one else is going to take care of the house. No one else is going to, get everything done. And it's on your shoulders, very practically speaking. That does come at a cost. It's something that we can absolutely work with, but we have to understand that self-reliance is very different than co-regulation. Co-regulation is saying, hey, I know that I could figure this out on my own, but I could figure it out so much more easily, so much more efficiently, so much more enjoyably if I had someone else in the mix, if I had a true partner who was willing to step up and step in and help carry some of the load. Co-regulation is saying, gosh, I want to be seen in my struggle. I want someone to, really hold me emotionally, physically, all the ways, through my challenges. Self-reliance is like, nope, I'm good. I got it. No one needs to see me like this. Or you might have friends or a therapist or a coach or whomever, right? Where you do feel like you can lay your burdens down and be deeply seen. But there is no one who's going to be as emotionally invested in you as a partner, right? There is just a level of vulnerability and emotional investment that is unmatched when it comes to a romantic partner. So, our nervous system may feel like that's a little bit of a threat, and we get to look at that and really redefine what safety means, because safety is not about just becoming passive and relinquishing control over to someone else. It's not about lowering standards or being less successful. It's knowing that you don't have to earn support. It's knowing that your power doesn't disappear when you soften. In fact, it only strengthens, it only solidifies, because power built on functional freeze, built on self-reliance, it's very shaky. It is not a solid foundation because we are designed to be in partnership, I truly believe. So if we are in that self-reliant place, we can only hold up the burdens of the world for so long on our own, right? This is where chronic health conditions are going to come in. This is where mental health issues are going to come in. This is where, we are going to pay the price in mind and body at some point. So I don't mean this at all from a shamey place. This is truly about bringing self-awareness. Like I said, I've walked this path myself. When I brought this conversation into the Irresistible Woman Experience Mastermind, it was very resonant because a lot of us have built our success and achievement on a place of proving and performing, and it's utterly exhausting. And we get to instead plug into a new feminine power source that is regenerative, it is deeply fulfilling, and it is capacity expanding, right? Achievement was never meant to mean that one area of your life got all of the attention and the other side was completely abandoned. Feminine power is about saying, I can spread my focus, energy, resources across the board because I'm not doing it alone. I receive support in all these different areas, and they help me to feel fulfilled in every aspect of my life. True fulfillment doesn't come from just one side of the equation being overly tended to. It's kind of like tipping the scales, right? Like, as a thriving feminine woman, you get to have the drive and ambition and the love, the adornment, being cherished, being poured into. They feed each other. But this is a very different way of approaching life than most of us have been exposed to. And that's why I'm so passionate about bringing this conversation forward more fully inside Powerful and Pursued. Like I was mentioning, this is my brand new free 7-day attraction blueprint audit where you are going to understand how your attraction blueprint is unknowingly playing out these different patterns. And I'm going to move you forward in 7 days into a more secure way of being, into a place of deep feminine magnetism, into a place of momentum and action and forward movement. And we're going to be in community, and you're going to have a chance to win some incredible prizes. And I would just love to be able to take this conversation off the podcast into a place where we can really create some awesome movement in just 7 days. So the link to register for free is in the show notes. I can't wait to see you in there. Once you hop in, you'll be directed to our private chat group where I'll be delivering the daily audio trainings. And I want you to let me know if you came in from the podcast episode. I would really love to know that this landed for you and made a difference. And we will continue the conversation over there. Until next time, keep shining your love light, and bye for now.